Welcome to Confessions of a Fitness Professional. I'm your fitness professional, Andrea Anderson, and I'm going to talk to you about the time that I almost quit fitness. Yeah, it happened. It happens. And if you are a fitness professional, make sure you listen because this probably will resonate with you. And if you're not a fitness professional, you're just a fitness enthusiast, hey, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I also have tried to quit fitness as a fitness enthusiast, not necessarily as a fitness professional, so I could totally relate to that as well. All right, let's get to the tea. So I have been teaching fitness for over 14 years. I just passed my fitness anniversary a few weeks ago, and it was sort of a happy moment. Of course it was. Of course. It was a happy moment when I became a fitness professional. When I got that first fitness license to do Zumba, I was so excited until I realized that nobody would hire me. I have a lot more confidence now than I did when I first was a fitness professional, when I was a very fresh new fitness professional. I did not look like other fitness professionals. I think I definitely do now because that narrative has changed as to what is acceptable. I'm using air quotes, what is accepted to be a fitness professional. I'm so glad that narrative has changed because having one particular look and body type and certain color hair, just sort of not cool for the fitness scene. And it's very much a more accepting environment now, which is so awesome. There's room for all of us. Love that. But when I first started, that was not the case. And really, it's crazy to think about because that was not that long ago. I mean, 15 years was not that long ago. I was so excited to be this new fitness instructor. I was going to change the world. I was going to teach and have so much fun and get paid to work out is what I thought it was. And then nobody would hire me. And I had to go to the very tippy top, like over people's heads to get them to even consider giving me a teaching job. So already before day one of teaching, I was exhausted. I had been running around the loop. I'd been sort of looked at and judged and told you will not be successful if you try to do this. I tried to go to some other gyms and just did not get callbacks. It was very frustrating. It was a very sad and trying time, but finally I got a bite. Months after I got my license, I finally got a little nugget. They were like, okay, fine, we hear you. You want to teach, but here's the thing. Our really popular classes and really popular times already have instructors. So you can't have those and you cannot sub for them. So we're going to give you this super early in the morning time and maybe you can make something of it. Good luck. Maybe you can do it. So I did, but after that very first class, I think just combined with all of the emotions of having it be really difficult to get that class started, or to even just get a class for myself to have, and then two people showed up, and I had been practicing for so long to get the choreography right, to get all of the movements right, but it seemed like it was happening so fast that I was not sure it was that great of an experience. And of course it probably wasn't, right? It was the very first time. And if you're a fitness professional listening to this and you have doubts about yourself, like keep going. I promise it gets better. That first class, the first few classes are probably going to be a disaster, but it will get better. And my gosh, isn't that just the truth of like any new thing that you try to do? You're probably not going to be amazing at it at first, but you're going to get better. You're going to get better as long as you keep showing up and keep doing the work. I was ready to quit after that first class because it was so emotional. It was so much, and I had to teach it and then get right to work. And at this time, I was absolutely not a morning person. I was the kind of person, if I had to be at work at 8:30, I lived 2 minutes away from work. I would roll out of my bed at 8:21, put something on, run a comb through my hair, brush my teeth, and walk over to work. Like I was not an early morning person, but this class turned me into a morning person, and it ended up really filling in, and I had such a really good time with it. It was actually really hard to give up once I did give it up. but I was ready to quit. I was ready to quit. Just the emotions of having to get that class in the first place, and then the craziness of the class trying to figure out my body placement. I was teaching in front of a mirror, trying to get the cues down, making sure my music worked okay. It was like so much. Like, if you are not a fitness professional, you have no idea how much work goes into just one class, especially if it's a new format, a different format, if the instructor changes up the choreography or the sounds or location. Oh my gosh, I'm teaching in like 7 locations this month, and it's a lot to think about. It's a lot of work, but totally worth it once you get into the swing of things. But I was very ready to quit. That was one time. There were 2 other times that I was ready to quit being a fitness professional. Let me tell you all the tea. Okay, the second time I was ready to quit is because of burnout. I hopped into the Zumba scene when it was so hot. It was so hot. And full disclosure, I currently do not teach Zumba anymore, but I taught it for 13 years. I taught it for a very long time. And it was in such high demand. So my one little class grew to 2 classes a week because of the demand, which is still so exciting because they told me this will never work, but we'll give it to you just to see, give you a couple classes and be done with it. No. It grew. It was amazing. I got another class, and then people do what people do, started talking. Hey, have you tried a class with this instructor? It's really fun. And word got out, and a lot of studios, it was just hot. There were a lot of really great Zumba instructors in the area at the time, and every gym wanted Zumba. They wanted to offer Zumba. So I got a class on Saturday mornings, which I kept for a very long time. And then I really wanted a weeknight class. And the facilities in town were already kind of maxed out. They already had their own Zumba instructors, but I had a peer from college reach out like, hey, I'm teaching at this gym like 25-30 minutes down the road. You should totally come because they're looking for somebody to do Zumba. And I was like, great. And then I got that job, was super overeager, and taught Zumba, and I'm not exaggerating, 5 nights a week at that location. So here I was doing 2 mornings during the week and 1 on the weekend, to now doing 8 classes of Zumba a week. 8 classes. 8. So like every day, and 1 day twice a day. Twice a day. So I added this 30-minute commute there and back, and fitness instructors really, now it's a different story. I've really worked to get compensated fairly, but at the time it was no money, but it was exciting because I wanted to teach, so that really just didn't matter to me. But of course the gas was really piling up at that point, but I wanted to teach, and it was fun until it wasn't. It reached this tipping point where it was enough. It was more than enough. And it was okay for a little while because I had clients that were coming, like there was a Monday, Wednesday crew and a Tuesday, Thursday crew, and then a Tuesday, Thursday morning crew. So I could kind of get away with doing the same playlist at most classes without changing it up too much. But then it became really old, and I started putting songs into the vault. And we still joke about that today with some of the OGs who were there from the beginning. They're like, can we do this Bruno Mars song, or is it in the vault? It probably was in the vault. I had a lot of songs that ended up in the vault because I was like, if I hear this song one more time, oh my gosh. So for the participants, it might have been 1 or 2 times a week they heard it, but for me, it was like 8 times a week I heard that song, did that choreography, all those things. The ones that got overplayed never made it onto my YouTube channel. So if you go onto the Fit with Andre YouTube channel, or if you're here, hey, watching this, check out some of my choreography, some of my choreo from Dance Fitness. I have a lot on there, but the ones that were overplayed that I put in the vault never made it onto the YouTube because I could not do it one more time to film it, which is super funny. So The first time I almost quit fitness was from that very first class where I was like, what have I gotten myself into? And I absolutely cannot do this. The second was after, my gosh, when was that? Maybe 3 years into teaching. Maybe it was 4 years in, 3 or 4 years into teaching. I was just teaching so much and it got to be a lot and I felt burnt out. And so instead of scaling back, which I thought was like impossible, like I can't scale back once I've gone this far, I cannot scale back. In my mind, it made way more sense to just quit. So I started to quit locations. I started to quit classes and it was so hard. It felt like I was doing something illegal or wrong because people came after me and they were so upset. Like, how could you get rid of my class, the class that I come to? And it was so overwhelming every time I tried to drop one class that I felt like I couldn't drop any of them. And at this time too, I was still newly established as an instructor. I did not have the confidence in myself to be like, oh, I can always add a class back once I feel a little rested. It was the world to me, and people's reactions and everybody's judgment and everybody's opinions meant so much to me. Maybe you experienced that yourself with your job where you are so, you're so in it and you really want to please people and you really want to be there for people and you want to be the person for people. And a lot of it was ego too, right? Where I didn't want to be just another Zumba instructor. I wanted to be the one that people wanted to come to. So that played into it as well. So I could not disappoint the people. It was very difficult to do, but I got myself working and teaching so many classes that I genuinely did want to quit. I genuinely wanted to quit. So that was the second time. And the third time was about 6 months ago. Very, very recently. I had sort of a sit down with myself. I feel like I've talked about this before, but really over COVID, when not everybody slowed down, right? There were first responders that still have not slowed down their pace. I didn't slow down with fitness. I did not take a single break. I was teaching 3 classes a day at some points, and I was driving all over the place to teach outdoor classes. I really wanted to be there for my clients. I wanted to keep going. I didn't want to become stale. I wanted to offer a wide variety of things. When I wasn't teaching, I was filming, and when I wasn't filming, I was prepping, and when I wasn't prepping, I was thinking about all of those things. And I really did not take a break from fitness. And about 6 months ago, I started, when was that? Like November? I had a couple of really good classes, but I've started to really evaluate where I'm spending my time. And I really thought about taking a big break over winter. I thought about quitting over winter. I thought about just stopping and maybe easing back in eventually with some personal training or a class here and there. But I have this thing as a fitness professional where I need to see the end. I need an end date. So you'll notice some of the people that were with me from the beginning, where I taught every day and I was the Saturday person forever and ever and ever, that's when I wanted to stop. That's when I burnt out, when it was like I could not see the end. And I thought it was a crime if I took a day off. I thought it was a crime if I tried to go away on vacation because people were not getting their class, or they were getting a sub that wasn't the same, and they were so mean about, oh my gosh, y'all were so mean to subs. Y'all are so mean to subs. I don't do subs anymore, but because it's just such a bad environment. I feel so bad throwing somebody in there. I will sub for other people, but I haven't done that in a while either. But I really took a step back and evaluated and thought, is this something that I still want to do? What I still want to offer? I thought about taking time back and working on my own fitness, working on a new certifications it's going to take me a long time. It's a lot of hours, a big requirement for my next certification. Brushing up on my own skills, taking classes for fun. That's really hard to do when you're a fitness professional. And I love when instructors come to my classes because it's such a good thing for us to do, to make time for all of that. So instead of completely quitting, I scaled back a lot. I was teaching some virtual classes. I taught maybe 1 or 2 in-person classes a week, maybe even 1 at one point. I started dropping locations just because it was like it made sense to do those classes in those locations during COVID, but then it stopped making sense once everything really opened back up and we were getting back into a rhythm of full-time work and requirements for jobs and things like that. So it just didn't make sense anymore to have this big piece of farm equipment's going by right now. It just didn't make sense to have. It's so funny to watch it. That happened a lot when I was filming fitness classes over COVID. I would just roll through it. I feel like one time I was doing a live class on Facebook and a UPS person was coming up with a package and I was like, just bring it in, keep coming, I'm not stopping. Anyway, some locations just didn't make sense. So I've really backed off. I want to be more choosy about where I teach and how I spend my time as an instructor. I don't want to teach just to fill the time. I don't want to teach just to teach a class. I want it to make sense. So I've been piloting and trialing classes in certain locations at certain times. So you might have seen a lot of change in my schedule, and I like having a consistent schedule, but I also really like a start and an end date when it comes to fitness. So that's why I really love teaching the classes that I do at Washington College, because they go with the semester. There's a start and an end date, and it's beautiful. And if it didn't work, we can reevaluate and change the days or change the types of classes for the next semester. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that makes me happy as a fitness professional. So all of that to say, you're probably going to want to quit. Whatever job you have, if you're a fitness professional, there's probably been times that you've wanted to quit. And if you haven't wanted to quit yet, it's coming for a variety of reasons. Maybe you're in your job that's not being a fitness professional, you've wanted to quit. So here's my advice to that. Take a step back, pull back some layers, and then see if it brings you joy to keep going to those places. Sit down and really, really think about it. Really envision yourself there. Envision what it takes you to get there. I mean, it got to the point with some locations that I was driving like an hour to teach, and it just doesn't make sense anymore with having to be, I have a full-time job, having to be there, and then driving back and forth to get to that 1 hour away location. Like, it just did not make sense anymore. As much as I maybe even loved having that location or that class, the stress of getting there and the stress of being in the car for an hour, it was just taking a toll on my body. Was not worth it. Even if it's the most fun job in the world, which being a fitness professional really is, there are pieces of it that you really have to sit down and think about. Is this worth my time? Is this worth my energy? Could I be directing my energy and my time? Could it be better used somewhere else? And that's okay. That's the bottom line, I think, is just, it's okay. You might want to quit, and that's okay. You probably have those times where you want to quit even a job that you absolutely love, and that is okay. The world will continue to move. I promise. So I've been so much happier as a fitness professional this spring after I took the winter to really, I say scale back. I was still teaching like 4 times a week, but I wanted to really handpick where I was teaching, which classes I was teaching. I really needed to streamline it because having 7 different modalities happening at one time was screwing with my head. And now I've sort of kept it to 3. I've kept it to 3 lately. 3 different modalities that I've been teaching: high fitness, bar, and yoga. That's sort of where I've kept it. And you really get better when you focus your energy on a couple of different varieties versus trying to be everything for everybody. That just will burn you out for sure. So that's where I'm at, and I love it. I'm sort of tweaking the schedule, adding new things, trialing new things, and it's going really great so far. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to a summer of fitness and offerings and doing really fun collaborations. I'm doing a dog yoga class. That's going to be super fun. I'm excited about that. I love teaching in places that are easy to get to as well. I've really enjoyed teaching at the Y. That's just a few minutes from my house. That has been kind of life-changing. I forgot what it was like to teach so close to home. So that's really awesome. And just grateful to you for coming along for the journey. So if you are out there, you're a fitness professional, you're thinking about quitting, feel free to reach out. Let's chat about it. Even if it's not about being a fitness professional and you're thinking about quitting, I'm all ears. I love having those conversations and making the pro-con lists and sort of just charting it all out and seeing what can come of it. So, and sometimes the answer is to quit, and that's okay. That's okay. All right, that's all the tea I got for today. That is our confession of a fitness professional, and stay tuned for another episode next week. I'll see you then. Bye.